Hi, thank you for joining us. With us today is Alex Farmer, the former Chief Customer Officer and current Chief Revenue Officer at Nezasa. How are you today?
I'm great, Ben. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, let's just get into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and your path to becoming a CX leader?
Absolutely. I won't start. I won't spend too much time with where I'm from, but I'm originally from California, but I'm based here in London in the UK. I've been here for 10 years, and I've spent about 12 years in various SaaS roles. I started my career as an implementation consultant, so I was doing like the actual onboarding and implementation, and then became a customer success manager at a startup where I spent 5 years, and basically started as a CSM and then became head of CS, then director of CS, and really kind of I call it my business school where I got paid to attend.
Mhm.
We went from 1 to 20 million in ARR and exited in 5 years and kind of built the CS team as we went. And then after that, had some various leadership roles at other SaaS companies in the UK, and currently, formerly, as you say, Chief Customer Officer at Nezasa, and then became our Chief Revenue Officer about a year ago now. Time flies. My hairline recedes with the stress of deals, but I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, why don't we talk about that CX role? I really want to dive into that, and I love your perspective from both sides of the table. What advice would you have for somebody their first day leading a CX team, first 100 days?
First 100 days, yeah. First day,
Yeah,
go through the orientation and
yeah,
buckle up for the next 99, right?
yep, yep.
Yeah, you know what? Good question, and I've done this a few times. 5 years was my longest tenure. I've had some shorter tenures, jumping around. So I've done the 100-day sprints a couple of times now. And for me, the one thing that I would really kind of zoom in on is the fact that you never get those 100 days back in the eyes of your customers,
Mm.
right? So the classic listening tour, you can't do that when you're part of the furniture 6 months into the organization. You can only do that on day 1 to 100. So the first thing that I did at my previous company and also at Nezasa is got on the road, got on an airplane, introduced myself to our customers, sent the marketing email out saying, hey, here's who I am, here's why I'm here. I used my email address and basically told them to reply to me directly if there's any challenges. And then the stuff really kind of came out of the woodwork, so to speak. And that was really helpful because it gave new momentum to customers who maybe were just frustrated and were going to churn, but they felt like they had a bit of a lifeline. And it also helped kind of inform the CX strategy. So the first 30 days, if I break it down, first 30 days, nothing internal. It's all listening to customers, going out there and being on the road and gathering your own opinions. The next 30 days, speaking with your internal team and kind of understanding how things work internally, where the friction points are. And then that final 30 days in the 90 is really kind of formulating plans and your next kind of 12 to 24 month roadmap based on the external and then the internal feedback that you got for those first 60 days, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. Why don't we go a step further? What is your current strategy?
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, Nezasa as a company, think of us as kind of Shopify for travel agencies. So
Hmm.
we're an e-commerce solution that helps travel companies bring travel products online in packages. So you're probably familiar with the traditional fixed package that nobody really loves to buy because you can't change it. Our software helps travel agencies sell customizable, flexible package tours. Um, so in terms of our size, we have about 80 customers and 60 employees. So we're still a scale up, for sure. Um, our strategy today is about really kind of moving beyond the one size fits all approach to a more segmented approach. So we are focused a lot on clear customer tiers. We have three distinct product plans, and you can kind of one-to-one match those to three customer segments. And really now we're about, even though we're only 80 customers, building a foundation that will allow us to scale with our long tail, but not just to spend less time with them, but to deliver important insights and knowledge-based articles, training materials to the right person at the right time. So let's call it personalization.
Hmm.
So what we're really focused on is, looking at things like connecting a lot of our systems, looking at the usage data that we're tracking, and then being able to, in the product, suggest that they read a specific knowledge article or watch a webinar that we did 6 months ago, right? We just launched inbuilt analytics. So finally, I don't have screenshots of data in QBR decks. I have a hyperlink to the product to go through the QBR, and we'll be further personalizing that so the lower tier customers get that link emailed to them in kind of an automatic QBR every 6 weeks. So kind of driving it more frequently, but with less heft. So I think,
what does QBR mean?
oh, sure, quarterly business review. So
There you go.
kind of a review of value with the customer.
Mhm.
Our average, order size, ACV, ranges from 30 to 300K. So we're kind of mid-market and enterprise focused. So for the mid-market customer, they need a personalized experience or personalized review of value at their kind of appropriate experience, right? It's not appropriate for us to fly to their office every 3 months and sit down with a PowerPoint for 6 weeks, 6 hours,
Mhm.
for half a day, excuse me.
Yeah.
So focusing on finding the right touch points and using technology to scale our kind of customer success or customer experience offering is really the focus at the moment. We could talk a little bit more about what we've done in the past. Just some highlights. When I joined, we didn't have an onboarding team, so we
Mhm.
separated onboarding from customer success and customer support, spun up a new onboarding team, templatized the project plans in some software, and really kind of the key result, actually, we reduced our time to value from 180 days to 79 days in about a
Wow.
year. So that was the bar was pretty low. So, and I'm not sure we did anything super groundbreaking besides just having a dedicated team that focused on it. And of course, we did some other stuff too. But, getting those foundations right was what we focused on in the first year that I was at Nezasa. And then taking those foundations and tailoring them to the right person and the right customer segment is now the next phase.
Oh, that's awesome. I love your approach. How do you measure the success of this?
Well, there's a lot of data points for sure. So time to value, we track using our kind of data warehouse that we have. So we're kind of, because we are a commerce platform, I can tell, of course, when the project started, but I can also tell when they do their first transaction through my platform. So we can automate a lot of that. We do also survey our customers. We have in-product end user surveys. That kind of gets my end user persona, which is a lot more about the product itself, right?
Mhm.
So I have I think our last NPS average was kind of plus 45 or something, which we're
That's
really
really
proud
good.
of.
Yeah.
It's good. And also if anybody listening to this knows anything about the leisure travel tech space, NPS is usually not very positive at all with the solutions that are out there. So
Mhm.
let's just say, it's not a very mature software category yet.
Yeah.
Let's just put it like that in a nice
Yeah.
way. And one of the points I'll make just quickly is product. Our product team is KPI'd on end user NPS because it's a
Mm.
reflection of their enjoyment or not so much, or unenjoyment. Is that a word? Let's go
Mhm.
with it. Their
Yeah.
unenjoyment or disappointment, I guess, with the product. The other surveys we do kind of email surveys that are tailored to different personas at different customer journey stages, which measures kind of the super user, executive sponsor, decision maker sentiment. And that's what the CX team is KPI'd on, because obviously that's measuring their feedback on the customer journey and the experience working with Nezasa, whereas in-product NPS is actually just users engaging with the product. So doing both kind of qualitative and quantitative measurement of satisfaction to two different audiences is a key kind of cornerstone to measure the success of what we're working on.
Awesome. Do you have any pain points while leading the CX team or being in the chief revenue position now and having to give time to your customers and the experience?
Yeah, I think the bigger pain point is it's not so much a pain point because we really focused on it, but one of the bigger challenges kind of being responsible both for new business sales and also our post-sale team is the handover, right? So we've spent a lot of time really trying to ensure the customer doesn't feel that there's a handover as much as we can prevent it. So one of the things I'm kind of most proud of is we have our sales team in the sales process. We're more of a value selling led sales team than a transactional selling sales team. So it's not PLG, product led growth. It's not features and functions. It's consultative business value, which lends itself very nicely to what customer success teams do, which is customer success planning and measuring return on investment. So the
Mhm.
sales team actually completes customer success plans as part of the discovery in a sales process. A success plan, for those that don't know, it's one slide that articulates the main objectives, goals, success criteria, and kind of 12-month plan to achieve those goals and success criteria on one slide. That's a really nice handover when we start the project with the customer when they sign, because I take their situation and hand it off to another party. So the red thread connecting our customer journey is their business objective, right?
Mhm.
And that's a really nice kind of elegant way to avoid surprises and to ensure the customer feels kind of heard and known throughout the journey, both pre and post sale. So that was a pain point that we addressed. I mean, I think that the other pain point is just time. I kind of came up as a customer success leader and certainly have said in the past that the revenue leader should not. I've always said until recently, the revenue leader should focus on revenue, and the customer leader should not report to them. And now I'm both. So I'm I disagree with my former self, but the statement that I made, that I've always felt previously was because, at the end of the quarter, is the revenue leader going to sign a bad fit customer and burden customer success to sort that out? Or are they going to turn that deal away? Now, that's not a very nuanced view of revenue leaders, obviously, and of course is not the situation we have at Nezasa, because I think we focus on those pain points. We do success planning because if I can't make the customer successful and we determine that together in the sales process, at least we know. And we say, thank you very much. Go talk to one of our competitors that might be better suited for you. So I think the challenge really is balancing. It's still a challenge, balancing the KPIs of new business with the KPIs of post-sale. But the nice thing is my, main measurement of success is net MRR. So I get dinged for churn and I get, praised for expansion and new business. So they do kind of have a tension to ensure we're not front loading one versus the other.
Yeah, that's nice. And I think this dovetails in my next question really well. Like you're sitting in two spots in the C-suite. How do you get buy-in with the other C-suite, and how do you get these initiatives through?
Yeah, good question. So I was just yes, usually it's two different roles. So it being one role, I have a lot of angry conversations with myself, I guess.
A lot.
Exactly. I disagree with myself all the time. No, I think one of the keys for success in terms of C-suite collaboration is understanding the KPIs and metrics for each team member. So, I was just having a conversation today with my head of engineering and chief product officer. Those two have KPIs around delivering roadmap items on time and on budget, and ensuring we listen to our customers, right? So I understand what they want, and they understand what I need, right? Which is to have features that I can go and sell that drive expansion. But I can't sell stuff that's not feature complete, right? So we have clarity on kind of what each other needs. The conversation we were having today is about some friction in our organization when it comes to escalating open bugs that need to be resolved quickly because the customer says so. Of course, you have your objective view on the severity of a bug, but then you have the customer view, and those oftentimes do not agree with one another. So I understand, having an understanding of what engineering needs for my team when it comes to reporting bugs and escalating bugs allows me to go to my team and say, hey, we need to align to the process that the product and engineering team follows with the way that we escalate these things. So instead of just kind of being selfish as a CX leader and saying, hey, I need these things fixed, I don't care how you do it, stepping back and saying, okay, the most efficient way for us to get this job done as a business is to wait for a meeting that we do weekly, or to tag a Jira ticket instead of pinging somebody on Slack. It sounds super minute and in the details, but I think that ability to step out of your selfish KPI and understand the most efficient way for not you, but rather the wider executive team to all get what they need is critically important. And if you can go beyond your silo and step into theirs and build bridges between the departments, A, you get a lot of goodwill, and B, you ultimately as a company, accomplish your goals faster as well. So I think that to me is a key recipe for success with other leadership team members.
Yeah, it makes sense. I bet the developers love using the Jira tickets in their sprints. Probably just like, all right, deal with that in 2 weeks. It'll be easier for them.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing that really I wish people thought of more is, it's pragmatism. Yeah, it's probably easier for me to just ping a Slack message and an email and then say, well, you didn't read my email. But ultimately, the customer is going to yell at me if the job doesn't get done. So if I take a little extra effort now to adhere to a process or use the process that I know is going to deliver the best outcome faster, then I may not get yelled at by that customer. So it in some ways is inherently selfish, albeit it's, an A to B to C relationship, and then instead of just directly A to B, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. Let's talk about this briefly. Do you have an example of using customer feedback to improve your company?
Yeah. So as I said, I kind of already talked a little bit about the surveys that we do with customers. And we're just launching a customer advisory board as well for kind of an executive level strategic customer feedback forum. But, one of the keys for me is you can't shoot the messenger, right? So to try and influence other members of our executive team, it's a lot easier to get what you want when the customer says it than when you're saying it, regardless of whether that should be the case or not, right? So one of the key things for me is, I've already shared the type of surveys that we get, but what do we do with that data? Well, one of the key things we do is obviously we present it back to our wider leadership team. And it may be making points that we've tried to make ourselves for the last 6 months to no avail, but it's a lot harder to say no to the customer when we're just the messenger. You can't shoot me. I'm just telling you what customers think. And it's also harder for other leaders to say no when it's the customer, right? Because everybody still wants to be customer centric, right? So when I kind of put the voice of the customer forward, you can kind of influence and deliver a lot more impact than when it's me saying it, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
So I think, we talked about the types of feedback that we collect, but I think more importantly, how you use it and the nuance and impact it can deliver, I think is even more important.
Yeah, I love that. What do you think is the future of CX?
Good question. Well, I think a lot more automation, and I know that's kind of the big buzzword today. If I look at the customer experience space, I see a lot of desires to automate things that are selfish, right? What do I mean by that? Well, the support team wants to be more effective, so here's a support portal, right? The customer success team wants to do more with less, so here's a pooled CSM resource or a customer community, right? And the onboarding team wants to be more efficient, so we're going to automate stuff in the product instead of have a person train you. Less white glove approach. So the future of CX, I think that's the right strategy, but it's the right intention, but the wrong execution. Let's flip that on its head, right? A customer doesn't want to have to talk to someone if they can solve their problem immediately on a customer community, for example, right? It's 10 p.m. They got a board presentation the next day. Their CSM's not online. They just want to ask a question and maybe somebody in the community responds. So I actually think, we need to think of automation and kind of driving more scale, not in the context of doing more with less, but in the context of removing friction for the customer. So I think the future of CX is twofold. One, it's more just in time or omni-channel. And what I mean by that is the customer can access your knowledge base. They can access training resources. They can self-serve, for example, their business objectives and how they're doing from an ROI point of view whenever the heck they want. More importantly, potentially, they also can do it only in one place. What does that mean? Well, I talked earlier about the support portal, the community, maybe even you have an LMS or a shared drive with all the quarterly business review slide decks that you've reviewed with the customer in the past. That's 4 places a customer could go to engage in some way with your company. So as organizations automate more, they also need to centralize because the customer can't keep track of the support portal, which is separate to the LMS that doesn't know with maybe even potentially 2 user accounts, right? So thinking of having one digital cover sheet for customers and users to engage with your business that ideally is embedded or accessible directly from your product, that's true friction removal in a way that's not selfish but customer centric. The other thing, quickly, is revenue centricity. Customer experience has to be not be revenue phobic. There's a philosophical debate in customer success. Should CS own revenue? The answer is yes. Otherwise, your days are numbered because you're not delivering anything that a CFO can look at and say, yes, there's value here. And I'm not trying to be bombastic, but at the end of the day, the reason customers sign up for your product is to get a business value. Hopefully, your product pricing model means that customers pay more the more value they get, right? So as a customer success team, yes, I shouldn't have a quota. I shouldn't be going out and saying, hey, buy this, buy that. But I should be saying, hey, we delivered, a 50% increase in your conversion rate last year. This module, it'll help increase that even more. It makes sense to continue our good success together, right? Okay, great. I'll get the order form going. So I think that revenue centricity is also a really important future. If CX teams aren't there yet, they're going to be there. They're going to be there somehow, some way, whether they like it or not. It might be painful, it might be easy. Let's get ahead of it now, I would say.
That makes a lot of sense. This is my last question for you. What else should we know about you and how can we follow your career?
Oh, God. Well, I used to be a lot more obnoxious on LinkedIn than I am today because doing the pre-sale and post-sale thing together takes up a hell of a lot more of my time. Yeah, so I still sometimes post on LinkedIn, and I think one of the interesting things that I try to share is just my experience, right? I mean, I'm not doing everything right, but I think have been in a right place, right time to have an opportunity to kind of grow and scale, and now kind of look after a revenue organization without really any direct sales experience. Although I would argue customer success is sales, as I alluded to before. So yeah, I mean, reach out on LinkedIn if you want to talk. I'm also trying to be as generous as I can with my time, because so many people have given so much to me as well. That's probably all I got.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.